Hi everyone! In this first video about our content that we're going to learn, we're starting with polynomials, and we're going to just do a few examples of multiplying and dividing polynomials. So I'm going to go straight into your Aleks homework. So once you're in Aleks, and it honestly depends on how well you did on your initial knowledge check, whether or not you're actually going to see this topic. But I do want to use it just so you can see how Aleks works, and then these examples of what I'm talking about today. So multiplying conjugate binomials, multiplying binomials. So I want to show you about multiplying and dividing polynomials. That's what this video is about. So some of you might not see these topics when you log into your Aleks after you've done your knowledge check, because there's a whole lot in this section. There's actually, I think, 19. Let me look here. Yeah, 19. And depending on your initial knowledge check, you might not have to do all 19. But I'm going to start right here. So how do we multiply this binomial times this other binomial? And a binomial means it has two terms in each factor. Okay, so the 6 and then the minus 7d, those are each a term. And so let's go ahead and work this out. So we have 6 minus 7d times 6 plus 7d. And there's two ways you can do this. You can do what's called the FOIL method, or you can do what's called the box method. And either one is perfectly fine. I sometimes switch between both of them. This one, I'm going to show you both. So the FOIL method stands for first times first. F stands for first. So you have 6 times 6. So we have 6 times 6, and I'll write this out. 6 times 6. The O from FOIL stands for outer times outer, the two terms on the outsides. And so that's going to be 6 times 7d. I from FOIL stands for inner, so the inner terms times each other. And so that's going to look like negative 7d times 6. And then L from FOIL stands for last term times last term, last times last. And then that's going to look like, let me just go further down. Well, I'll squeeze it in here. Minus 7d times, gotta squeeze it in pretty good here. Let's see, minus 7d times 7d. Okay, now I've got a little squished over here. And then you start simplifying, and I'll show you the box method also, so if you like that better. I'm gonna switch colors because my black marker seems to be drying out. Let's go to blue. So this becomes 36. Coefficients here, when you multiply them, you get 42, and then there's still d there. Over here you get negative 42 with the numbers, the coefficients, and then you still have d. And then in the back, negative 7 times 7 is negative 49, and then d times d is d squared. And then you have like terms when you do this. So the like terms here get to combine. And so we have 36 is just a constant, so we're going to leave that by itself. But these terms with d in them can combine, and positive 42d minus 42d, those actually add up to 0. So we don't even have to write that if it adds up to 0. And then in the back we have minus 49d squared, and this is the answer. Okay, so we have, this is actually not a coincidence, and it will happen when you multiply what's called a binomial times its conjugate. Whenever you have the same binomial times itself, but it's the opposite sign, that's the conjugate. When the sign changes in the middle here, whenever you multiply that out, this will always happen, where the two terms in the middle add up to 0. But it's only true if these look identical other than their middle sign. Okay? So that term in the middle, those two added up to 0. And this is the answer. And in this week 1, we're also going to go backwards from here. We're going to take something like this answer and factor it out and end up back here. Okay, so let's type that into Aleks. So we had 36 minus 49d squared, and we'll check that. And there it is. Okay, so when you're working in Aleks, what you'll notice in this top bar up here is your progress for this topic. So this topic is on multiplying conjugate binomials, and you want to get 3 in a row. 3 in a row means that you can move forward, like you've done pretty well on that topic. You understand it. So I'm going to click next, and I'm going to get this wrong really quick just to show you what happens. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to make something up. Let's just say 16. Okay, that's not the answer. Watch this bar. Oh, it took away my progress because I got it wrong. So you do need to understand it to the point where you can do 3 of them correctly in a row. So this process of how Aleks works is it kind of eliminates the whole guessing. So if you guess, it's going to work against you. So you do want to just take your time and figure these out, work them out. Okay, so let's work this one out. And if you're confused on anything, if you're like, I don't know why I'm getting it wrong, you can always click right here, down at the bottom, explanation. And it's going to give you some information about how to solve this type of problem. Okay, so notice it's saying we're multiplying this sum, this binomial of 2 terms that has a plus sign, and a difference, this binomial with a minus. And then they're showing you how to work this out. This is actually the type of answer we came up with in our first example. And then you can even click on why is this true? And it shows you from the foiling process that the 2 terms in the middle add up to 0. So it talks about everything that you need to know there. And then it shows you the steps and then the answer. Okay. Now, if you click that though, notice it did solve this problem for us. So we're going to click on more practice. Oh, real fast. Another way, in case that didn't quite make sense, it shows you another way to think about this. Some of those times it'll have another way listed. So let's click on more practice. And it does change the problem on us. Since it showed us how to solve that exact one, we have to practice a different one. So let's try this next one. And this time I'm going to use the box method. One of our binomials I'm going to put on the top of the box. So we have 9y minus 2. And the other factor, the other binomial, I'm going to put on the side of the box. 9y plus 2. And so we have 2 terms times 2 terms. So the box, because 2 times 2 is 4, has 4 little squares in it. And then all you do with this box method is you multiply column times row. So 9 times 9 is 81. Y times y is y squared. Column times row. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18 times y. Column times row. 2 times 9 is 18, positive 18. I like to keep the sign with it. And then y. And then 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And when you use this box method, the diagonals are actually like terms. Okay, so these combine. And they don't always add up to 0 if you're not working with a conjugate and a factor in its conjugate. But in this case, they add up to 0 again, these like terms. So I take what's in my box, and that's my answer. 81y squared. This adds up to 0, so I'm not going to write that. Minus 4. And that's it. Okay. So let's type that in. We have 81y squared minus 4. Okay. And check. And there it is. And so we're starting our progress. Okay, I'm going to move on to another topic and show you when we multiply different types of binomials. So not necessarily a binomial and its conjugate. Okay, so I clicked on a different topic. I didn't finish that one, but I'm going to go ahead and start this new topic. Okay, and before I work the problems out, it actually gives me an explanation. So before I've done my first problem, it will tell me more about it. It will tell me about an explanation. I can read through this, and then I can, when I feel ready, I can start over here. Okay. So our first problem here, let's go ahead and work this out. So I'm going to use the box method on this one again. So I have 3 plus 4x as one factor and 7 minus 6x as the other factor. All right, multiplying column times row. 3 times 7 is 21. Next box, 4 times 7 is positive 28 with x. Next box, 3 times negative 6 is negative 18 with an x. And then 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And then x times x is x squared. Okay, so everything in this box is my answer, but I do need to combine any like terms that I see. And in this case, we have some like terms right here. So I'm going to combine those. So I have as my answer 21. 28 of something, take away 18 of the same thing. So 28 x's take away 18 x's is just 10 x's, positive 10 x. And then minus the 24 x squared. And this is my answer. So a lot of times what we do with our polynomials is we write them in descending order. What that means is you start with the highest exponent on your variable, and you make that first, and then you go down with the exponents. So I'm just going to rewrite this. This is negative 24x squared, positive 10x, and then positive 21. Okay, this is the version I'm going to use. So highest exponent on x, the next highest, and then all the way down to x to the 0 power. So type this in, negative 24x to the second power plus 10x plus 21. And let's check. All right, and so we got that one right. Okay, so if we click next, we'll have another example, and then we want to just get 3 in a row, and then it will tell us we've reached that topic. Okay, so I'm just going to get 3 in a row. I won't work them through, all of them through with you. Hopefully this makes sense enough for you to be able to practice this method. But I will show you in just a moment about what it looks like when you get the third one right in a row. Okay, so this one was actually interesting. I got double credit for this. I think it's because I got the very first one right, and then the second one I got right as well. So I think the way Aleks works is it realized I understand this topic, so it gave me double credit for getting it right with my first and second attempt. So let me click next. Okay, so I'm going to get this one right as well. So let me see what happens when I get this. I'll just type in the answer for you here. So this is 8a squared minus 27a plus 9. Okay, so I typed in our answer. Let's see what happens with our bar up here. Okay, so it did give me double credit again. So it looks like 3 in a row is what you're aiming toward, but if you do get one of them incorrect, you don't get any kind of double credit like they're giving me right now. So I guess I should have messed up on a couple of them to show you what that looks like. So let's click next, and then notice what it says. Keep it up. I'm doing good. I finished a topic, and for this objective, we have 18 topics left. There was 19 to start with for this week. Basically, each objective is for like the week. And so I can either say continue my path or return to my home page. Okay, so it'll tell me a little bit more about Aleks, and then when I click continue my path, I can click on different topics that I still need to learn. So remember that one we worked out first? It's still showing I made progress with one. So let me try that again, because if I start there, and I remember I got one incorrect. Let's see what happens if I get the next one right. I don't think it's going to give me double credit this time. So if we FOIL this one out, we're going to get b squared. The terms in the middle on this, because you're multiplying a binomial times a conjugate, the two terms in the middle add up to 0. So this is minus 25. So let's check this one. Oh, it did give me double credit. Okay, so I'm not sure about how the double credit works, but I would say just do your best, take your time, try to get them correct, and avoid guessing, because the guessing is what kind of messes with your progress on this bar up here. Okay, so I haven't finished this topic yet, so let's see. We'll do one more here. 9 plus 7x times 9 minus 7x. And so first times first, 9 times 9 is 81. Outer times outer, 9 times negative 7 is negative 63, and then there was an x. Inner times inner, 9 times positive 7 is positive 63, and there was an x. And then 7 times negative 7 is negative 49, and x times x is x squared. Okay, and then those two terms in the middle are like terms. They're going to add up to 0, and so we have 81 minus 49x squared. Okay, let's go ahead and type this in. 81 minus 49x squared. Okay, and we'll check. And there it is. So now this topic is complete. When I hit next, it's going to tell me that I'm doing good and I'm still on a track to reach the goal for this week's assignment. So I can click continue my path. It'll take me right back to where I'm at, but it'll put me into the next topic because I've already completed the one that we just worked on. So now it's telling me I'm ready for this next topic. And I can click around if I want to work on something else. So if I want to work on more multiplying, I can work on squaring, and anything that's unlocked I can work on. So notice some of these have a lock symbol. It's because I haven't shown that I know how to do the stuff before it, the prerequisite. So I would have to do these unlocked topics, and then once those are completed, then I'm actually ready for anything that's locked. The locks will start to come off on those. Alright, let me show you one last example. It's not necessarily on this homework, but it's very much similar to this process, but it's the division side of it. So I just want to show you a quick example with dividing polynomials. So I'll just kind of make one up for us right here. Let's say the question said something like 8x to the 4th minus 16x squared plus 4x minus 1. And we want to divide that by 4x. Okay, so when we're dividing a polynomial by a single term, this is actually called a monomial. Mono means one, so a monomial. This is really nice and simple when it's a single term, because you can just divide each term by this monomial. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and put it as a denominator like division. So divide by 4x on all these terms is what this is saying to do. Okay. Now, let's work this out real quick. Start with the coefficients. 8 divided by 4 is 2. X to the 4th divided by x. What you can think about here, and I'll show you, is how many x's are getting like eliminated or canceled. But the shortcut is subtracting the exponents. Okay. But real quick, this is what's happening. X to the 4th means 4 x's are getting multiplied. And then 1x on bottom. So what's happening is 1x on top and 1x on bottom are dividing out and making this become just like invisible 1. And so what's left is 3 x's. So this is x to the 3rd. But the shortcut is subtract the exponents. This is 4 minus 1, invisible 1 right here. So 4 minus 1 is that power of 3. Okay. So in the middle, the next term, negative 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. And then x squared divided by x, well, 2 minus 1. This is x to the 1 power. 2 of the x's on top, 1x on bottom, 1 of them on top divided with 1 on bottom. It was this situation here, okay, where one of these divided out. And then the next term, now this is one I really want to show you because a lot of people mess up on this one. This is not nothing. This is not 0. 4x divided by 4x is not gone. It's not 0. It's 1. Anytime you divide a number by itself or a term by itself like this, it's 1. Okay? Because the 4 divided by 4 is 1, and then x divided by x is 1. So it's 1 times 1. And then the last term, notice 4 doesn't go into 1, and x doesn't go into 1 either. So you can't actually simplify that term. So you're just going to leave it as a fraction. Okay, so that's just an example with dividing. Okay, so this was our first video. Hopefully this is good and you feel good about moving forward with starting your first homework assignment.